No, I had no idea. This was not planned. I'm not a plant of the Pentagon or the government or any deep state contracting company. I'm literally a filmmaker that wanted to tell this story for many, many years. And but I had no idea that things were going to start to be disclosed, just as Disclosure Day was about to be disclosed. You know, this started with my father taking me to see a meteor shower and introducing me to the sky at night when I was 5 years old. And I never stopped wondering about what's out there ever since. Humanity, empathy, believing in something we can't see, making the unknown more known to people, where people can be comfortable with what was once unknown. It was a dream cast for me, but we cast the movie with authenticity, because this movie is about something that's happening right now in terms of I don't make a lot of contemporary movies. My movies either take place in the distant past or in the distant future. I haven't made a lot of movies that take place today. But everybody is so natural that brought their talents and their ideas and their collaborative skills into an amazing company of performances.
I think it's truly has become one of the biggest privileges, not just of my career, but of my life. I think to be able to work with Stephen, who's inspired me for so many years, who I've dreamt of working with, you kind of think it's a call you'll never get, and then it comes in and it blows your hair back. It's so surreal and disarming. But he just, as rapidly as possible, tries to dispel the myth and that you only look at him as an icon. He's the most human, kind, vibrant, inspiring friend in my life, truly. It was such a family, an incredibly accelerated one. I think everyone was there for the joy. Everyone knew we were making something rare and profound. You just had that sense. I just hope they enjoy that feeling of being awestruck and astonished by the possibility of what's out there, by how wonderful it feels not to be alone in the universe, how humbling that might make humans feel in an appropriate way, you know. I think it really breaks you open in an existential way when you watch it.
We've just been traveling around the world and it feels bonkers that to stand next to him. Like, it would be bonkers to stand next to Steven Spielberg anyway, but to be in a movie that he's directed is very surreal, yeah. Coming into this movie, my attitude was I looked up at the night sky and probably mathematically imagined we're not alone. Beyond that, I had no real notion of anything else, but Steven's introduced me to an awful lot, and I guess I'm a believer, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Maybe if something outside of us was to come, we might learn a little humility and also understand perhaps hatred is a human invention and we can unite. I don't know. I'm an optimist.
The moment I met Stephen, I think we just clicked. We had a great conversation. We got to know each other as human beings. We went on to do Lincoln together. We'd see each other throughout the years. I gave him the Golden Globe for Fabelmans when I was presenting to Best Director. And then it just made sense to me. He called me up one day and he said, I have something for you and I hope you consider. And I'm like, hope I consider. I'm like, you're Steven Spielberg, of course I will. But he also just said something so wonderful. He said, see if you see yourself in this film, in this role. And I saw myself. And he wanted that honest feeling, like, do you see yourself, a part of yourself in this? Because I think he wanted us to bring a part of ourselves to these roles, too. And that was beautiful. So I'm really happy for the experience. And I love that Stephen has not only he's my director, but he's also my friend and my family. I think it's an audacious moment in our film that suddenly the film slows down in that moment and we have this discourse between me and Colin Firth. And I think it's a discourse that speaks to the heart. It speaks to the possibility of who we are or what we can be. And I think that's a real question that we should sit with. You know, we move so fast right now in this world. I think we've just took a minute to think about what we're doing and how we're doing it together and how it affects all of us. We could really make a difference. And so I think that's sort of Stephen's hope with that question in the middle of this film. And I think it's a great question, and I think it's a question we need to answer in our own hearts.
Grateful that I get to be able to do this as a job, and that Steven Spielberg asked me to be in a movie, and then I get to experience this with the cast. You get these sort of odd one-time experiences with cast where you go do movies and do film, and then you get to spend a bunch of time with each other, and then you leave and don't get to see each other again for sometimes years. And so you just try and take it all in for what it's worth, and look around, and I can say to my kids one day, like, oh yeah, I was in one of those guys. I was in that guy's movie. I just think he's a master at making you relate to human beings. He's a very empathetic person. He made this movie about empathy, which is an incredibly hard thing to do when you think about it, because you have to jump into someone else's mind to be able to portray empathy. Emily Blunt's been great forever. What I got to see her do in this was something you don't normally get to do as an actor, which is literally run every gamut of the emotion and make it look seamless. It is literally every level of the spectrum, and she has to weave it together along with everybody else, and Steven, of course, building it. But that is rare, that you get to do it, and then it's rare when it's executed that well. And she does it as well as I've ever seen someone do all of it.
It feels surreal. I mean, I was just talking with my fiance right before we came here and thinking about when I first started this pursuit to come out and pursue this dream of acting, and then snapping into our hotel room and getting ready for this film. It just feels like a dream come true. So yeah, I'm buzzing. A dream, man. A damn dream. Growing up on his films and being introduced to this world of extraterrestrial life, and instead of being consumed by the fear of it, just more empathy and compassion for the communication that could potentially happen. And just to be a part of his legacy is, it's something else for me. It's a lot of information all at once, disclosure day, so I think this is a good way to plant the seed inside people's minds to potentially prepare for something like this in real life, and to not be afraid and to embrace it.
The first thing you do is read it and give your responses, and then begins the process of convincing him to let you write it. Although he claims he was convincing me, so maybe it was just a mutual thing. But then I was seized by an overwhelming desire of not wanting to screw this up, because it's his baby, and it's the summation of what he's wanted to say about UAPs for 40 years. And so I wanted to make sure I did it justice. But then you have to say, no. He also would like my point of view, so I have to be not afraid of that. It was sort of one home run hitter after another as he cast it. And you just feel overwhelmingly lucky. And then what's wonderful about Steven is he gives every actor, he wants to hear what they think, he wants their input into the part, and then he wants us to work on the script with that input. I mean, he really is the ultimate collaborator. Empathy is the most important human adaptive quality there is. And that trying to understand someone else and cooperate is the key to our survival.
It is like watching a master at work in close quarters, and to be in the room when inspiration strikes is, something that you can never forget. And I have to say, the way his mind works is so frenetic. He's always ticking. He's always thinking of an amazing plan, then ripping it up and starting again and thinking of something better. So this is not a man who coasts through any, hour on a film set. He's always thinking, always scheming creatively. And that's a hell of a thing to have a front row seat to behold. Everyone is amazing. This is one of the best casts on the planet, and Emily, I think, has never been better. It's astonishing. It's astonishing what she does on screen. So.